Yo, what's good, boys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys, and today's video is going to be another reviewing your guys' lineups video. So put your listening ears on when I say this. If you want to be in a future episode, the link to my email is down in the description, and you just submit to that. So without further ado, like and subscribe, and we'll go ahead and hop in. So first team we have here is Tyler. Said, appreciate you, the usual. Here's the squad, around 600. Trying to make a push for World Series, 120K to upgrade with. Thinking of switching out an infielder for a righty. All right. Well, this was 5 days ago, which is about how long I want these episodes to be apart from each other. So who knows where he's at in his journey now. But team-wise, we got TC, McMahon, Dobie at shortstop. Not a huge fan of it. I think he brings a pretty good bat for you at shortstop, but is definitely not the craziest defender by any means. Santi in the outfield, Griffey and Trout with Sodi at catcher. For some reason, his bench is cut off, so I'm not entirely sure. I usually tell people not to send me their bench because I can see it, but we'll have to do some investigative work here. So that's PCA. That is a storyline card that I don't think is very good. That's Ortiz and that's Glaber. Okay. So if you're going to swap one of those out for a righty, I think your easiest solution without going and getting new cards, obviously, is McMahon to third, Seager back to short, and Glaber at second. There's your righty. I'm a pretty big fan of Glaber, so I wouldn't hate that. See what the rotation's looking like. Pretty standard. I'm not a huge fan of like Kluber on All-Star or even Hall of Fame. He's got, less blow-up potential in Hall of Fame, but let's see, bullpen-wise, nothing too bad. I don't think Urseg's actually that crazy. He just is one of the few pitchers with outlier. And then you got Martinez, so this is probably strong 7.5 to start, I think. Trout's probably about to get shot into the sun on Friday, so you'll probably have to go a different direction there. And then other than that, I don't hate this team. It is a lot of lefties, so yeah, I'd probably rather have Glaber in or go get like a Jose Ramirez or a Cattell or somebody like that. But you got options, so not a bad squad. All right, next team we got Zachi. Says he's working on getting Beltron, so I assume all his stubs for the most part are going to be tied up into that. He did not give me like a rating or anything. Okay. It's not bad. I mean, he's not like overcompensating on lefties. He's only got 2. I think an easy upgrade is Griffey for Roman Anthony. Obviously, it'll take some stubs away. See, you're enjoying Christian Campbell. I mean, I'm not a big fan of James Wood. It just depends on your rank. Like, you can definitely make him work at a lower rank. Scuba, Sale, Mr. Perry, Lighter, Ubaldo. Okay, not bad. And then bullpen-wise, pretty standard. I absolutely hate 2 of your lefties, so I'd probably go get John Franco. Or one of the new guys like Gregory Soto. But not a bad bullpen. Seems probably just a 7. Like, I don't think anybody in your lineup is scary to me when I'm playing you. It's probably like Manny. It's probably the scariest one. And then J-Ram, Tatis are worth mentioning, but I wouldn't call them scary. So if you want to get that like fear factor going, I think you're probably looking at like Aaron Judge, working him in somehow, and maybe that's putting Manny in left, and then Judge at DH, but not bad. I don't think it's any better than like the last team. So another 7.5, not a bad squad. All right, and so we start with Tyler because I told Tyler that I would do his, and then the other dude on that page, I wanted to get him done. But I think from now on, I'm just gonna go from the top. So people that submitted more recently to when I've done it will be more likely to get their team reviewed, just because it'll be more relevant to those people. So I'll try to get through as many as possible. You'll never really know when I'm doing this. It could be 2 days after the last one, could be 5 days after. So I'm gonna just try to get through as many as possible. God Squad, would I do anything differently? 8 switches, 1 rider. So he's on legend. Tiptoeing on GOAT. I see a top 50 ring. I'm gonna assume that's from co-op if he's asking. For my input, I think if he got it from solo ranked, then my input doesn't really matter. Reynolds' opposition's crazy. Already with P5 Posada is wild. Okay, so you got Gil as your righty. I'm assuming that you're working towards Scott Rowland, or that you already have him and he's on the bench. So you're working towards him. I mean, it's not bad. I think J-Ram, again, like, if it's the wrong day and his inside edge isn't good, but I'm assuming that's kind of why you have Headley on the bench, and you've clearly got repertoire with him. I think Ted Simmons in left is crazy. I don't really know who else you would go with. I guess an easy solution would just be to eat Santander's defense. Probably throw him in like right and throw Brian Reynolds in left, where he's at least in the secondary. And then that you got that DH spot for anybody you want. So I think that's something I would probably think about. Starting staff-wise, you seem to have reps with these guys. I mean, 3 of them are just non-negotiable, the most dominant. And then you got DeGrom and Leiter. I probably need to put Leiter back in my pen, so you're probably, showing me a thing or two there. The usual suspects. So you're enjoying Hovey. He was terrible for me, but, everybody's different. Yeah, I mean, I think Simmons and left is a little weird, but coming at it from the rationale of you just want as many switch hitters as possible to avoid PCI shrinking, it makes sense. I think there's probably a better way to go about it with other switch hitters. But ideally, I mean, this, other than Scott Rowland, this is like the best team in the game. So I think I'll give it a 10, because I think a 9.5 would be splitting hairs. All right, next team up, we got Mac here. Loves content, 40K, 7K, and a dupe trout. 3 days ago, I'm gonna hope that this is gone, that there's not a dupe trout anymore, because he's probably on the plummet. Gold Santander, that's interesting. Let's minimize this if we can. McMahon at third, got Chapman, got Cueto. Okay, so he has not addressed Santi. So, like, just starting wise, I don't like Jenkins. I would rather have Roman Anthony. Ideally, this would be like the program boss Griffey. I think it's kind of realistic to expect, or I guess he's Yaman right. Weird outfield. You could just flip Trout and Griffey, and they would play. Griffey would play the exact same, and Trout would be better. So there is that, for what it's worth. And then I like Roman Anthony, but if you prefer Walker Jenkins, that's your right. I don't think he gave us a rating, so we don't really know what we're working with here. I mean, Gold Santi can still do a job, for sure. Obviously, you'd like to get the New Threads one. And you said you had Chapman. I think that's a no-brainer. If you've already got Chapman and you've got a dupe Trout to sell, why is this not the New Thread Santander? Really no point. On some days with Inside Edge, this one can be close with Inside Edge and Superfractor, but he's never going to be the New Threads version. And then third base, I think Pendleton's got to get out of there. I'm assuming you probably prefer Ellie over Leo DeVry. Usually, but obviously he's supercharged. Don't hate the rotation. I wish I could get that Ubaldo on the budget account at this point, but you can't because I missed him in the first season. Again, I don't love Bueller, but you're kind of, scraping for everything you can get with budget pitchers. Robertson wouldn't have. I mean, depends on your difficulty, but judging by the rest of the team, probably wouldn't have David Robertson. And then other than that, you seem good, so I don't hate it. Um, just kind of unfortunately for you, this is definitely the worst team we've seen. So I think it's like a 7th 6.5 if you want to be overly harsh. Gotta upgrade this Santi. And I'd probably do something about Walker Jenkins and Pendleton, but other than that, pretty solid squad. All right, next team up, we got Fruity Loops, current squad, and I'm seeing a lot of secondary positions. No money spent, 300K. KB, McMahon, Westberg, Harris, Doby, Mickey. I think like Glaber is just straight up better than Jordan Westberg, and I would probably rather run Jordan Lawler instead of Paris, to be 100% honest with you, just based off swing. But if you're somebody that struggles with PCI sizes, I could see the argument to run the other two. But I think Glaber, top tier swing, Lawler, top tier swing, and both of these guys I would not say have a top tier swing. But you also said you're cooling on like 300K, so I don't know if any of these are worth it. I think you should definitely look at Griffey, just because I don't know how much cheaper he's going to get. We're getting kind of close to the end of our season. He'll probably go down a little more, but I think he's like 28K right now. So if he goes down a little more, if we get like a double XP weekend or something, I'd probably look into getting all of those bosses and Griffey. And Griffey would definitely make the squad. New Cueto, Leiter, Ubaldo, Schultz, Arietta, nothing wrong with it. I don't know who this 87 is. Yeah, I think it's Kopak. I thought he was a higher overall, but I do believe that is Kopak, so I don't hate it. Bullpen's cool. One lefty, 2, 3, 4. So 4 lefties, so pretty solid. I'd probably give this team like a solid 8. It's pretty much a grind squad. All of these cards are pretty much free other than like Ted Simmons. And you may have to spend a little to get McMahon, but not a ton. So it's pretty much just a grind squad with like some very cheap players sprinkled in. So I don't hate it. And if you just want to sit on your stubs because there's like roster updates and some of the new chase cards are like 200K, I don't blame you. But I think you already got some of the better options on your bench here, and you're just not using them. So we got Taylor letting us know that he platoons Manny and Hayward. So if he pops up again, we'll keep that in mind. But it's not attached to this email. All right, next team up, we got Seasonal here. Close to getting Griffey in center field. All collections are done except Dodgers, Yankees. Man, I mean, that's a lot. All right, if you say all collections done and then you list out like 5 of the most expensive collections, how done are you, really? But we'll see. Don't like Grisham in center field. Hate it, actually. I think his bat's pretty good. And I got some comments on the top 50 players where it was like, dude, he's crazy. You're sleeping. Not really. He's going to be a statue in center field. I know the swing's good, trust me. But the stats aren't that crazy hitting-wise. And the defense is going to be downright putrid. So I know. I know his swing's good. You don't have to tell me. Santi, JD, this might be one of the worst defensive outfields I've ever seen. Without them playing in secondary positions, it's pretty bad. You got Harp, you got Marte, you got Seager, you got 1,000 Chipper Jones. He's flexing. I need that card in my life. We're gonna have to make 1,000 push pretty soon. Tedrick, Jordan. So I think outfield defense is an issue. Infield defense is fine. So you almost want to have more lefties to have insurance for Chipper, who's going to punish lefties for you but can't hit righties. So you got Bryce to do that, you got Jordan to do that, you got Corey, and I think Grisham's probably just overkill. So you could go get Griffey. I think Griffey swings probably better than Grisham's. They're not really super comparable, but I would say Griffey's is probably better. And he's just got better quirks, and he's going to play way better defense. So I think that's my number one thing that I would like to see changed. Starters, not what I expected. So you're somebody that cooks with Corbin Burns. You're one of those sick people. Understandable. Schultz, Leiter. Skeens, I don't know how you're cooking with Skeens, I'll be honest. But he's there. And then Arietta. So I don't like Skeens. I don't like Grisham, but we'll see. Or he said close to Griffey, actually. So he's working on Griffey. He knows. He knows. Don't like Class A, but you're on 1,000 or close to 1,000 anyway. You could have dropped under. But you're at that level to where it makes a little more sense to run like Hoffman and Class A, whereas I wouldn't tell most people to probably prioritize them. And then Devin with his very big hits and the hard to time up screwball. So not bad. I think this is probably an 8.5. It's a super solid team. Maybe you run somebody different at first base and you just wanted to use like the supercharged Harper. But you're cooling, and clearly you're making it work with what you got to hit 1,000. So pretty good team. Nothing insane, but it just shows you how much of this game is skill over cards. Like cards help, but it's mostly skill. All right, next team we got Sweet here. Second time. Had to add the smiley face on top of the passive aggressive second time. Love to see it. Hit 701s, 802s. Okay. Don't really feel like this is relevant, but at least he has some like World Series experience, I suppose. So, lineup wise, Soto, the GOAT. He has flipped Mookie and Marte. That's how you're gonna get the best defense out of him. Santi, Fernando, Roman, Trout in the left, Corey at third. Okay. So probably somebody working on collections because you got a lot of pretty expensive live series here. And yeah, Ted Simmons at catcher. So definitely working on collections. Arrieta, Webb, Kluber, Leiter, Zim. So I mean you got your control freaks. You'll definitely be better after you're consistently on Hall of Fame, but all three of these guys would definitely be way better on like Legend. So maybe you'd want to go a different direction of like more power pitchers. But it's kind of up to you and how they've been playing. Feels very random on Hall of Fame, and then bullpen wise, pretty much perfect. I hate Trevor Hoffman, but that's because he sold me. So not bad. I think what I called last team like an 8.5 or a 9. This is probably like an 8 or like a 7.5. I think you're gonna get helped out a lot by the first roster. Maybe not. So Trout's probably gonna be unusable. Tatis is probably gonna be disgusting. So you know, Tatis can actually probably hold right field after the update, especially super fractured. Trout, you may have to find a new outfielder. Again, Griffey is just the direct upgrade to Roman Anthony. So unless you really like Roman swing more, Griffey's going to be better. All right, next up we got Dominic. He gave us some info, some good comms. Mainly on All-Star and Hall of Fame. Finley rakes. Manny does not. Has 50K working on NL. Okay, so he's prioritizing Soto. A good decision. Maybe not though, because roster updates and stuff. So you gotta watch out for that. So he said Finley mashes. I do see why he's working on NL because he's already pretty much got the Dodgers, which is the hardest one, and he's got Cattell. So what? 1, 2 switches, 3 lefty, 3 switches, 3 lefties, and he's got Mookie, Bregman, and Tatis. So a pretty well balanced lineup. Should never really have any problems there. Again, same advice. Feels like 2 of these in a row where I'm saying get Griffey, because he's just better PCA or Roman Anthony. I don't know why I keep getting them mixed up. Bregman, Chris Bryant's probably just a better Bregman. At least stats wise, he will be. So maybe think of doing that. It's running a whole mini season. Don't blame you if you don't want to do it. Tony Clark isn't for everybody because he's really tall. But other than that, I don't mind the squad. Let's see what else we got going on. Ooh, pitching Shohei. Not a huge fan of that. You're the one with him P4, so you know how he's been pitching for you. I could never. His control is just all over the place. He's a little too wily. Other than that, I don't love Yamamoto, but I'm also not offended by him being in your starting rotation, so I don't hate him. Bullpen wise, Hoffman, Kopech, Miller. So we got 3 lefties. I feel like it's 3 pretty good lefties. So I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, other than like going and getting collections or like, I'd probably prefer Gregory Soto over Andrew Miller, but some people really enjoy him, so it's up to you. Finley's just gonna be so tough, lefty, but on Hall of Fame you can get away with it to where it's not the end of the world. So I don't. It's probably back to like a 7. It's probably a 7. It's not like my ideal squad, but you can put in some work with this. Don't mind it. Manny doesn't, so he just, I guess, or is he on the bench? Okay, so he just thought I would suggest Manny, I guess. No, if he doesn't hit well, don't use him. All right, next team we got Matthew. Want to see if he can review. I can review his lineup. All right. Not a lot of power going on. I'm seeing that. These 3 are gonna be fly out city, but it's fine. So you got what? 2 lefties, 3 lefties, 3 switches, couple righties. All right, so pretty well balanced lineup again. Nothing wrong with it. On a budget, like Zachi at shortstop, I'd say he's probably about equal with Correa for me. I think Correa's better, but for free, like Zachi's not bad. And then Tim Raines, I don't hate. So, not bad. Okay, so no rating. So, I'm going to fry you for using Roy Halladay. I think he's trash. I think Sutton's pretty trash also. Like, having a screwball on a starter is not all it's meant to be. It's way better on a reliever like Devin Williams or somebody like that. Not a good pitch for a starter. And then Sutton just does a lot of other junk kind of on top of that. So I think Sutton and Halladay, probably not somebody I would be running. And then bullpen wise, y'all know how I feel about Mark Davis, but other than that, not terrible. You got some nice like cornerstone cards like Polanco, Santi, but Trout's about to get downgraded also. Not my favorite team. It's probably like a 6, 6.5. I think 6 flat's probably harsh, but it's probably like a 6.5. Just been steep competition today. All right, next up we got Landon. We got good comms again. 82K. All right. You ain't gotta say all this. You ain't gotta say all this. Should you save to buy the expensive ones? The mid-level ones will be quick sell. If they aren't already, they will be. So we got a lineup screen, but not like a diamond. Interesting. So I can't zoom in on this. Interesting. So we'll just kind of fly through this one, I guess. Geez, that's a lot of lefties. So you got Walker, Soto, Harper, Bazana. I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't like Walker Jenkins. I think I'd rather just run PCA than Walker Jenkins. I know I'd rather run Roman Anthony. I'd definitely rather have Griffey. Dude, I don't know why it won't let me zoom in. Okay, we'll just leave it here because it's just as big here. Roki, he did not give us like his skill level though. So Roki, Arrieta, Leiter, Schultz, Cueto. If you guys notice that, like, I don't usually check to see if somebody sent me their rating or like what difficulties they play on till we get to the pitching, because that's where it really matters. You can make like a bad lineup work on pretty much up till legend, and even on legend you can get away with guys like Christian Campbell that have great stats and then bad clutch. So pitching is where your difficulty kind of matters a little more. And then bullpen wise, it's not bad. I think Billy Wagner's terrible, so I'd probably get him out. But other than that, not terrible. Probably like a 7 flat. Not a huge fan. I have no idea what division you are. And it's hurting my brain reading the lineup like this. But also the 82K, I don't know what you're going to do either. So, Bryce, all right, so 840, so he's at World Series. Want to get Jordan out of the outfield, but he's raking. All right, see what we can cook. Santander. If you got any stubs, Santander. I mean, you sent me this knowing exactly what I was going to say. Like, you're really setting me up to tell you what you already know. And that's that it's either Judge or Jordan. And you got to make a choice. Because both of them are going to be bad in the outfield, and both of them should be at DH. So you kind of got to make a choice here. If you really struggle with PCI and you really want to keep Witt, you could very easily just go Santander in left, and he would be, a switch hitting, slightly better Jordan. So I think that's your easy solution, is to either pick between these, or, go for the new Santi. Or newer, I guess. And then rotation wise, the usual suspects. You're just kind of restricted to these guys, I guess, because of your budget, because you're trying to get live series done. So I get that. It's not my favorite. Scooball's pinpoint's kind of hard after you give up runners. Paul Skeens is a 2-trick pony, and then Chriselle is a 1-trick pony. But I mean, if you're getting away with it, then you can get away with it. But I think, going up in rating like you are, it's going to be a little tough to keep climbing when you're pitching guys like that on a consistent basis. Team-wise, though, Kipnis, Merrifield, at least you know to bench Bobby where he belongs on the bench. Elliott short, so the best defensive shortstop, but probably going to get some sticky spots with clutch or against lefties, which is going to be more pertinent now since you got to worry about Leiter, John, and Randy. And Trout's about to get sent into the sun, probably. I mean, I keep saying that. I see there could be a world where Trout stays in 88 and gains like a good amount of power, but loses a good amount of contact. If that's the case, it's gonna be rough for you because you're already on Hall of Fame, probably getting spammed with away sliders, and it's only gonna get worse if you do make it to Legend. So, kind of tough. You're kind of also losing him, so maybe you do move Jordan to DH and you get Judge and right, and then you get the new thread Santander and left. Would be what I would think about, but it's a pretty solid team. I want to give it like an 8, but I was gonna say I want to give it an 8, but I'm thinking 7.5 just because of what Merrifield. And then with the starting rotation, I think it knocks down to a 7. So you got some work to do. But clearly you're having some success with them. I think you're gonna run into some issues with your pitching soon, though. All right, next up we got Isaac or Isak, whichever it is. Don't really grind the game that much. Just play when you can. Just got J-Ram and Cal and Santander rearranged the team by a little bit. All right, let's see what we are working with here. So it doesn't grind the game a ton. That's fine. All right, so Santi and left is going to be better than your dot. We got to do some basic math here. Maybe you got threw off because how the wheel shows, it shows Santi's live series. But this version is going to be better in left field than Jordan, so just straight up swap them. Then other than that, I don't mind it. I think JD and Wright is kind of playing with fire, but you don't really have anywhere else to play them, so don't hate it. How many lefties we looking like? Only three. I mean, 3 isn't a bad number. So he did send lineup structure, so assuming he keeps it the same. I think Jordan, I mean, assuming you change him to DH, cool. But I think he's too much of a defensive liability to be batting seventh in your lineup. If he's batting seventh and playing terrible defense, he's not bringing a lot of value. So I'd probably, move him up or something. It just depends on how well you're hitting with him. He's also another candidate to get sent to the sun on the roster update. So just something else to think about. Starters: Gore, Arrieta, Cabrera, Musina, Crochet. I don't know what we're doing with the gold Crochet. If you didn't know, there's a diamond one. He is not a Red Sox, but you're not running the Red Sox boost, so I would go get the diamond Crochet. This one might have better hits, to be honest, at this point, so maybe that's an argument. But definitely the diamond one. And then bullpen wise, absolutely hate Mark Davis, but I mean, other than that, not terrible. Class A is a little suspect. I promise you, Gold Felix Bautista will be better for you than what Class A is going to do, assuming you actually don't grind that much. And so that tells me you're probably like 500 to like maybe 700 rated. Bautista is probably going to be your move there. Okay, so if I was to assign a value to this team, it's probably like an 8. Another 7.5. I'm just gonna give out another 7.5 because this Cal Raleigh is amazing on All-Star. That's about it. That's about where the compliments stop. So I think he's kind of weighing you down a little bit. I think some of your pitchers are kind of suspect. I think he has some pretty obvious upgrades in front of you. So you go take care of that. Team will get a lot better. All right. So next team up, we got Lappies. Finished live series. Haven't used a lot of the cards. Batting well with Ted and Santander. Stuck in CS. Need to push to World Series. Currently going for Roland. Roland. Never feel super confident in the bullpen. Willing to make any changes to make it happen. And then he said he hit World Series today. All right. So we got another sideways one. Tell you what, we just won't include this in the video. Now I'll just type in my response. So, all right. So we finished up Laffy. He just had a couple things I think could be fine tuned, but all right. JB just finished Clemens to push the World Series. Versus lefty should, I guess he's asking if he should platoon Torres with Kipnis or Jackie with Seager. Okay, we just gotta look at the lineup here. So he's saying either Torres with Kipnis or Jackie with Seager. So I guess he's enjoying Honus. I would not personally probably use Honus, especially in left field, because I don't think he's giving you the bat that a left fielder should give you. But it's fine. It's whatever if you're enjoying him. I think Corey's good enough to play all the time. I think I would be more concerned about Kipnis, so I'd probably platoon with Glaber, or you can platoon with Jackie. He has a secondary there as well. And he said also need a lefty starter, in my opinion, on lineup structure. And then he suggests maybe Bobby Witt. No Bobby Witt here. So lineup structure. Let's talk. Honus is kind of fast. What I'd personally probably do is Trout lead off, and then Jose Ramirez second, leave Santi, leave Judge, leave Seager, and then just kind of structure from there in like descending order of your best batters. And then, if you want Glaber in to whatever, I would probably start Kipnis and just pray that's righty. And if not, then cool. You got Glaber the rest of the game. As for a lefty starter, I feel like I'm just going to say Noah Schultz. There's really nobody else I can think of off the top of my head. So you can try Schultz. I've heard he's kind of aged poorly. But you could try him. Not a huge fan of Satchel unless you're just really spamming the outlier. Just kind of hard to find people that can't hit outlier nowadays. And then bullpen wise, you got to make some choices here because I'm seeing three of the same player. You got Class A, Dibble, and Mason Miller. And there's a decent chance that you were just pitching Clemens or Satchel Paige right before you brought them in. So you're just showing somebody the same look over and over. You gotta choose. I think the free Michael Kopech is better than Rob Dibble, who I think is better than Class A. And if you really wanted just two of them, I'd probably cut down to like that, like Mason Miller and then Kopech. Or maybe if you want a little more control, you could thug it out with Dibble. But he's actually up right now. I think he was like 50K the day the Roland collection came out. So just food for thought there. And I think you have enough lefties. So pretty solid little squad. Not bad. Another guy that's going to get hit kind of hard from Trout, I think. Not a huge fan of Napoli at catcher, but as long as there's not runners in scoring position, he should be chilling. So probably another 7.5. A lot of I'll give you an 8 because you have a true ace. You have Clemens, so at least you got that. Every fifth game, you get like a 20% increase in your likelihood to win it. Is kind of how I feel about it. So I think that's worth a half point right there because a lot of people don't have that true ace right now. All right, next team we got Trevor here. So whenever I get like multiple emails, doesn't really help that blur out the top one. So you did it to yourself. Hall of Fame just got Beltran testing out Kipnis. Was using Mookie. Need 20 more PXP for Kopech, and then he'll get him out. Likes J-Ram over Headley, Gromber, Guado. Does Santi DH? Of course Santi DH is. What type of question is that? Yeah, I think you just pick your poison between Otani and Jordan. And if you end up liking Jordan more, then you can just play Santander in the outfield. Or if you'd rather have Shohei, then you can just DH Santander and bang, there it is. It's solved for you. So you got a good amount of parallels, so I kind of trust your opinion on how you do with people. Let's see. Pretty standard rotation. Missing Randy, but obviously that's a luxury. And honestly, you can make the argument that he's not even that crazy because of the par sizes. Let's see. And then pretty solid bullpen. You said you want to get rid of Kopech. I like Kopech. I mean, I think there's a conversation to be had between him and like Mason Miller, but I like Kopech personally. Maybe you prefer like even Devin Williams or something. It's really up to you. All right, so then I guess he wants me to go over lineup structure. Juan on the bench, man. Juan on the bench is crazy. But we'll see. We'll see after the roster update how everybody does. So he's a Beltran leadoff type of guy. I'm not. I don't like it. I want my best hitter hitting third. It's just how I am. If you are like stuck on him being leadoff, cool, do it. I like him third. I feel like it's always nice to have runners on base for my best hitter. But if you just want to have 97 speed leading off for you, I don't blame you. Marte second, that's where I'd leave him. I'm personally not a big Gil Hodges fan. You've got him like P5. I would probably either bat Shohei leadoff or Mike Trout leadoff. And then Beltran third. If you want to do Hodges fourth, you could do that. If you wanted to, move Jordan up, you could do that. If you do end up doing Santander, you could do that. Or if you get the new Jorge Posada, he's any good from anywhere from like 6 to 4. He would be a stud as well. So that's generally my approach to lineups is I want like a pretty good hitter that's pretty fast first. I want a switch hitter with a great swing second. I want my best hitter third. And then I want a power guy fourth. And then after that, it's kind of descending order of quality of the card or just how well you hit with them. So this is a very good team. This is a 9.5. Like I said, missing Randy, missing some chase cards. But it really just feels like nitpicking at that point. So I think it's solid. Yeah, I think it's a 9.5. at this point, because yeah, you can have Beltran, but it doesn't mean you have a perfect team, because this could be Brian Reynolds, this could be Jorge Posada, Randy could be in the rotation. So it's a very good team. It is not a perfect team. All right, and we're at 40 minutes, so I'll probably do like 2 more. We'll try to get to like 45 minutes here. So we have Robert here. Any advice would be appreciated, sitting on 90K. 90K is just such a weird number. There's so many people with 90K. You can't really do that much with 90K. 90K is like completing Santander or something. It's not buying any live series that's really going to impact your team. It's not buying like a crazy chase card like Randy or Posada or even Brian Reynolds. So 90K is like almost nothing. Obviously, it's progress, but it's like as far as stuff you can actually do to your team, it's not a ton. I don't love catcher, but it works. Like as a budget catcher, he's one of the better ones, so I don't hate it. Yeah, don't mind it. The outfield defense is a little suspect with Soto and Santander out there, but to be DHing Soler, there's only so much you can do. And then he included his structure, not his like starting staff. Structure's just so, I mean, I can go how I feel off the cards. I can't tell you, like, I don't know if you hit .054 with Santander through 100 plate appearances. I have no idea. For me, I bat close to 500 on difficulties not named legend or GOAT with him. So I think he's Jesus. But for you, I don't know. Ivan Herrera 9th is probably right. Soto's got to be up. I'd probably swap Soto and Bryce. I like Soler. I think his swing's incredible. And I think with you having 4 lefties, you pretty much have to bat one of them lead off to, navigate not having them back to back. So you seem to have a pretty good grasp on how to structure your lineup. So I don't know why you send it, but in my opinion, Soto should be higher. All right, next team, and I think this is going to be our final team, is Coleman here. So we can see, tell me what you think can be improved. All right, let's see. Well, you could have Jorge Posada, you could have Scott Rowland, and you could have Brian Reynolds. All right, there we go. End of the TED Talk. So it's kind of hard when you don't really give me like a budget or anything. Starting staff could have John Don in it. I mean, so realistic things you could take care of is don't be using Class A if you're not at least going to be on Legend. So get him out of there. And then Liam Hendricks has a funky delivery, but he's like a default pitcher. So get him out. I think you get both of them out. Find suitable replacements for them. And then, I would like to have Soto in my lineup. But if you hit really good with these other guys, then you're chilling. But other than going and getting all the best cards, I don't really know what there is to tell you. Again, same as like the team we just did. I'm gonna be a little harsher and give it like a 9 because there's actually like flaws I think with the team a little bit. But still, you have Beltran, so how bad can the team really be? All right, so we're gonna do one more because the last one wasn't very substantial. We got Russell, 105K, so that's interesting. See how he says 105, looking to maybe get Reynolds. So he knows he's getting close to him. That's about how much you need to have to even think about buying a lot of these cards. About to get Griffey, just don't really like the pitching. Don't know how to put his players in the field, has a ton of infielders. You put them in the infield. You put them in the infield. You can't just sit here and play Lindor in left field. It's not super realistic. You just gotta make decisions. You just gotta make cuts. Like for me, probably either Corey Seager or Bregman hit the gulag because there's just no way you're running Cattell in center field, but there's also no way that you are using Cattell or that you own a Cattell and you're not using him. So I think Cattell either goes to shortstop, or you do some other shenanigans with the lineup there, and then you gotta get So I'm not a big PCA fan. I'm not a big Max Clark guy because I want a center fielder that can still hit to a degree. But when you are surrounding that center fielder with Juan Soto and Manny Ramirez, it almost needs to be like a PCA to make up for how deficient they're going to be out there. So if that's your current outfield, I would go get one of those probably more defensive center fielders, and Cattell probably takes one of these guys' spots, and then you just kind of shuffle around until everybody's either in a secondary or a primary. Also, DH, Harper's pretty good. I imagine what you're doing is probably platooning him with JD after he's supercharged. Probably not somebody worth DHing. Let's see. So, starting staff, this card's terrible. Do not like this Johan at all. He'll get a good card in the future. Don't worry. You don't have to force yourself to use this one. And then Buchholz, he's okay. He's fine. Like, he's not anything insane. Bullpen-wise, Kopech, Urseg, Strom, Fingers, not bad at all. Lineup structure, you got a lot of power guys at the bottom, but you almost just have a lot of power guys in your whole lineup. Yeah, you do not have a traditional leadoff, huh? Your fastest player in your lineup is probably Alex Bregman. That's crazy. Yeah, again, just another role that a guy like PCA or something would fill would be like that traditional leadoff role. So I think that would really help you probably. Or Brian Reynolds, if you do decide to go that route, fixes your center field, gives you a more traditional leadoff. It's also a switch hitter, which is always a good thing. So I would probably strongly consider it. Pitching wise, I mean, Johan's shocking, but other than that, I don't really know what to tell you. We're getting a free Dustin May on the day this is getting uploaded, so probably him. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. I guess I need to give this team a rating. It would be a 7.5, but I'm going to knock it to a 7 because the outfield defense is going to be really bad with Cattell Marte covering these two. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, tried to get to as many squads as possible. So if I didn't get to you, resubmit. We're going to try to do it every 5 days. So the closer you are to 5 days from now, the higher odds you have of getting in the next one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Till next time. Peace.